Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Articulating with David Barnett. My name is Anna Thornton, and with me, as always, is the man himself, David Barnett, the owner and director of the gallery. And with us today, we have a very special guest, Kim Cunningham. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, guys.
Kim,
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course, it's our pleasure. We discovered Kim's work earlier this year when we had a photography contest that went along with our photography exhibition, and she entered this really stellar photo of a pink piano, and it ended up coming in second place. So we've had just a really great response to her work, and so we wanted to take this chance to share more of her story with you all today. So,
thank you.
Yeah, of course. So to start us off, Kim, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into photography? And
Oh, yes. Most definitely. Well, I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm a Milwaukee girl. My parents were always into art and encouraged art. And as a child, I was always into drawing, doing sketching. And I was always interested in photography, like taking photos and everything. Like you had little instant cameras and things growing up. But when I was 13, my parents bought me my first real camera. It was a Vivitar 110.
oh,
You know, the little rectangle type cameras. I would take it everywhere, take photographs. My parents had a printer for me at Walgreens, and I love just taking photographs, just capturing the world around me. Because I like to, if I see something cool, I'll take a photograph of it. Even today, my cell phone has 131,000 photos on it. That's why I have the big.
I only have 36,000.
That's why you get the 2 terabyte storage space on your phone. But yes, I started. I was 13.
wow.
I was taking photographs through middle school, and I 110. Then when I got to high school, it was Midway High School.
Mm-hmm.
We had a photo class. Photo photography 101, and we had our own darkroom at high school.
Okay.
So I started taking photography classes there. That's where I got into 35 millimeter, film cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Taking black and white photos. We would back in high school, we would take our photos, and then our teacher would develop the film for us and give us negatives, and then we would print our own photographs in darkroom. So I always loved art, photography, drawing, painting. When I went to college, my freshman year was at Marquette. So I figured I can't do art, I need to have a real job. So I figured there's no money in studying photography or art and everything on the side. I went to Marquette, and my freshman year I was a business major. As part of your requirements, you're required to take an art class, or a humanities class your first year.
Mm-hmm.
So I took Art History 101, and I just fell in love with it. And so I took Art History 102 the second semester, and I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be an art history major. I want to be an art museum curator or a gallery owner like David. And so Marquette didn't have that program in place, so I had transferred to Milwaukee.
Okay.
To Milwaukee, I started taking art history classes, and after my first semester, I said, you know what? I miss doing art. I said, let's do a compromise. Let's major in art history and art. So I said, I'll make it art education so I can still make a living somehow.
Yeah.
And so I took my, after the first semester that summer, I took a teaching job with MPS called Wrap Brown Program for summertime, where the kids would take classes for summer school in the morning and afternoon, the art classes and fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking art class, and the kids ran through me. I had no authority.
No.
I thought I can do it. It's in my blood because my father was a teacher for 35 years. My brothers are teachers. My sister-in-law is teachers. It's in my blood. It's in my family. I can do this, and I could not do it. The kids ran through me. So that sophomore year, went back to my sophomore year, or the second half of my sophomore year, and I thought, okay, art education is out. Let's do straight art. It's okay. Art history is our main major. Photography would be my second. So I lived in Milwaukee. That's why I kind of fell in love with photography and doing it full time.
Mm-hmm.
And we would shoot in 35 millimeter black and white film, develop our own film, print our own photographs, and I would spend hours and hours and hours in the darkroom. I think I was telling Jake how every Saturday I would get to school around 6 p.m. And I
Yeah.
spend from 6 p.m. to midnight or 1 a.m. in a dark room. And then I spend 1 a.m. until 7 a.m. in the Fibers dye studio.
Wow.
So, so basically,
All nighters.
yeah, all nighters in,
Wow.
in the art studio just working. And so that's where I really got really serious about my photography. Not just the techniques, but like explaining the why. Because a lot of times I take photographs and I didn't know why I take photographs.
Mhm.
There's something innate, something that I had to take a photograph of this place or this image. Looking back on my photographs from that time, some of them are very dark, very lonely. And I thought, oh, I was a very shy person, and I didn't really talk a lot in front of people. I thought, well, this makes sense. It's coming true with the photographs. So, but after college, I couldn't really find a job in art or photography. So I went back and got into finance and IT. And so now I work in IT right now, doing IT auditing, but I still do art on the side because with art, as an artist, you have to let it out. You can't just like suppress it. Something tells you have to do art, and that's why photography and embroidery really helps me stay level. So you do your IT work during the day, and then your artwork at night and on weekends. And
You're well balanced.
so yes, exactly, well balanced. It makes everything work together and sync. So I like to tell people the first job pays for the art, pays for photography and art supplies. So, but yeah, so
You've got it all figured out.
it took a long time to figure that out, to get that balance. But yeah, it's not one or the other. After college, when I started going into IT and finance, I felt like a sellout. Like, because back then, this was like in the early 2000s, where it's like, you're an artist, you can't sell out and work for a man or work for corporate America, and sometimes, you won't be a starving artist. You don't want to rely on your parents for funds to live. So, you have to strike a balance, and it took me a while to figure this out, that it's not all or nothing, you can do both. And so I think I'm a happy spot right now where art and IT work together.
That's great. I mentioned your pink piano photo earlier. I know it's sold now, which is great. Congrats. But I was wondering if maybe you could kind of walk us through your process, like from inception of a photo to the finished product. How did you find that pink piano? What was that process?
Yes. So I guess I would call it urban exploration. I was taking photographs of old buildings and abandoned places years ago for actually what I was doing. I was telling you before how sometimes you take a picture, why you should need to take a picture of something. And I was taking pictures of old buildings and abandoned places, back in the early, mid 2000s, I realized that's what it was really called. And so there are some times where I want to do new photographs. Sometimes I'll find it happenstance, but sometimes I'll just research a whole city and try to figure out, what are the older spots of the city, what are places where people may not think it's important. And one of my themes in my artwork is that finding meeting places you don't expect it. So if you think an old part of town is no longer, worth anything, no longer important, I kind of think to myself, oh yeah, there may be something there to look at. And so that's why I came upon Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana, it has had its problems over the last, 15, 20 years with declining population, lack of jobs. And sometimes when the larger companies move out, then the jobs are gone and people move away as well. And with Gary, Indiana, they had so many beautiful old buildings that were no longer being used, that were neglected. And so in 2020, I was just driving around Gary, I was looking at some old buildings, and I found this building called Memorial Auditorium. And it was in the process of being demolished. So one of the walls had already come down, and the exterior was beautiful. It had, just beautiful architectural elements that you don't see nowadays, like, the cornices, the, sculptures on the outside. And I thought, let me just take a picture of the outside and keep moving along my way. And then I saw that there's a little bit of a door open on the side. I said, let me just, walk under there. Walked in, I saw the other side moving the whole wall down, so I could just went that way. But anyway, I went through the small door and walked into the lobby area. There's this pink piano just sitting there in the lobby. And I thought, well, this is interesting. So I just start taking photographs all around the building, through the things, the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look closer to the piano, there's this little phrase that says, "You're priceless in a world full of price tags." I thought this is a perfect theme for Gary, Indiana, for this building, life in general. But yeah, I thought that's a perfect theme. That poem, that little phrase was spray painted on the piano by someone, and it makes perfect sense. And I thought, with artwork, with my photography, I like to capture things as they are. I don't move things around. I don't some photographers who didn't things around. They add little. They manipulate the scene a little bit. But for me, let's find things as they are, as I find it. I guess my little theme is, you kind of hear it when you go to national parks. Leave only footprints, take only memories, and that's my theme as well. If I find something, take a photograph of it and as it is, and then keep going. But yeah, so that's how I found that photograph, or I found that piano and that building. And sometimes you don't know what you're gonna find until you walk around.
Right.
Another thing I like to say is if you in some buildings look up because you don't know what you're gonna find in the ceiling.
Yeah.
So a lot of my photographs we'll see are of ceilings of beautiful buildings. For example, I have this image of the Milwaukee Hilton Garden in downtown. People always ask, where is this located? This image, because it's under a glass atrium. I still say Hilton downtown. People say, what? Really? It's yeah, you just look up. When you walk in, don't look straight. You can look straight ahead, but look up as well. So,
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
a great theme. I love that there's kind of this sense of spontaneity, that you don't plan things, but you're kind of like an explorer, just going on this adventure, and you take things as you find them.
Yeah, and that's why I love road trips.
Yeah.
I did a road trip in 2022 through Route 56.
Okay.
I left from Milwaukee, started out in Chicago at the beginning,
Yeah.
drove the entire route to California, and then went from California to Portland, Oregon to see my sister who was living here at the time.
Mhm.
And I went from Portland, Oregon all the way back to Milwaukee. So it was a
Wow.
6,600-mile trip over 2 weeks, and it was amazing. So my only goals in that trip was my family and friends know that I'm very detailed about traveling.
Yeah.
I know where I'm sitting, where the plane's leaving, what hotel I'm staying at. And this was a big change for me because my goal was I would just travel each day and then pick a hotel at night, a Hilton or Marriott, a hotel, non-hotel. So, and then just start each day, with no real goal in place but just to stay on the route. So I just drive the route and I find old buildings, old gas stations, just anything old. I just take a photograph of it, and just keep moving. So that was the spontaneity part about it was that I was breaking out of my comfort zone of having a planned location each day by just seeing what I can see, take photographs, and then at night, and I would determine where I would sit, where I would stay. So
Wow.
yeah, so
That's great.
yeah. My family were very surprised. They know that I'm very detailed about traveling and very picky about where I stay, where I fly, and so they're like, this is weird that she's just gonna have this unknown each day. So
I guess we'll move into talking about some of your photos in particular. We have this great photo right here, and I believe it's called Bird Nest.
Yes.
Is it just plain bird nest?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to give us the context of this image, where it's at?
This is about finding beauty in places you wouldn't expect it, or again, looking up. So this is an abandoned school. I call it the bird school because the school has lots of glass windows. It had a beautiful courtyard and central courtyard where all the classrooms face the courtyard, and all glass windows.
Yeah.
So it's an old school, abandoned. Vandals kind of went through and started breaking all the glass windows. So of course all the birds, came back in and reclaimed their spot as nature usually does. And so this was in the gym. It's a very large gym, and within the gym, they have all these old computers and desks and everything piled up. And I thought it was interesting when you walk in, taking photographs of the actual piles of computer and old equipment piled up. And I looked up at the net, at the rim. I thought, is that what's up there? So I get closer, and it's a bird's nest perched precariously on the edge here. I thought it was very strange because the birds have control of the entire building, but they can build their bird nest anywhere, and they decided to put it on the edge of a hoop this little edge, and I thought it was just very interesting that it's something that you wouldn't expect to see there. It's a weird spot, and I thought this is just like happenstance. You walk in and it's just there. People always ask me, "Oh, did you manipulate that? Did you Photoshop that bird nest in?" Same thing to pink piano. They asked, "Did you Photoshop that into the building?" It's like, no, that's where I found it. I walked in. This is where I found it.
Wow.
I think that I showed you the actual another photograph of that view where it showed the entire gym. And you can see the little bird nest on the edge of the professional booth. But yeah, so again, I thought it was beautiful that nature was still trying to, build its way back into this building. Which is great, but they did it. The birds built this nest on very strange location.
Yeah.
So.
There's kind of an interesting parallel to me visually between the bird nest and the hoop, because they're both these kind of cylindrical shapes, but they're very different.
Yeah.
And
they're woven together. Right?
yeah, they are kind of woven together.
And it's a very delicate looking. Bird nests are inherently very delicate, and the Wilson is also delicate on such a.
It's a very sophisticated bird.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. What I love about your work too is that the sense of time and abandoned place, it prompts all these questions, like when was the last time a ball was thrown through the hoop, or when was the last time a bird was in the nest before it flew away? And I just love that sense of time that you achieve.
Thank you.
What do you see, David, when you look
I
at
don't know.
this?
I think of Larry Bird.
Yes, because Indiana.
One of the greatest basketball stars.
Well, because this is taken in Gary, Indiana, and Indiana has such a
Maybe
long
this
history.
bird watched TV, watched the basketball.
Maybe, yes, yeah. Basketball is embedded in their soul as well in Indiana, so maybe the birds have it in their DNA as well.
I think you shared with us beforehand that one of your artistic influences is Georgia O'Keeffe.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see that with this image, because she also has this interest in, I was thinking specifically of her paintings of bones and skulls. These kind of objects that have kind of decomposed, but there's still beauty there to be seen.
Yeah.
And I definitely see a parallel to that with your work as well. Alrighty, our next image we have here is titled Factory Number 1. Is this in a series? Is that why there's a number 1? Or is this just...
So I call it number 1 because I know the places, and I know I took so many images of the same places and similar type style buildings. I just call them Factory Number 1 or Factory Number 2 or whatnot. That's why it's called number 1, because it's the when I titled my photographs, I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very simple. Yeah. Because sometimes, as urban explorer, you don't want to actually name the location.
Yeah.
But this location is well known, so I could probably say it's a very, nut and bolt punch company. But this one I call Factory Number 1 because I figure, I'm not very creative at my naming schemes for my photographs, as you guys probably know. Bird nest, pink piano. It's very, You
let the image be
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My sister and I have this joke we always say, something that sits upon itself, and I don't want that. I want to be I don't want to be too full of itself, and just, it's a factory, number 1. It's the first one I first imaged, so yeah. But this is a factory, it's part of a large complex, and this image here I thought was interesting because it shows you the factory, the little tunnel heading from one part of factory to another part of factory. And I thought this whole image, for me, the colors, the angles, the lines, they're all really spoke to me. And that's why I just wanted to capture this. And they look mundane to some people, but for me, it's just interesting. I'm very into geometric shapes and colors, and that's why this one speaks to me as well.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. When I was looking at this, one of the things that struck me was just how many different shapes. And there's tiny little rectangles in the bricks, and then you have these great vertical lines of this paneling, and then just all the different size squares of the windows. There's really a lot of patterns and textures to take in.
And I love how the tunnel kind of leads you into the photograph.
Almost like an abstract expressionist painting.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I think when I first looked at it, I kind of wrote it off as gray because it's a warehouse and it's
Mhm.
abandoned, and how could there be life and color in this
Yeah.
place? But really, the more I looked at it, the more I realized how much color is
Yeah.
there. Like this kind of pale green on the
Mhm.
far right, and especially too like these deep shadows. At first, I thought they were black, but if you really look at them, they're this deep saturated blue.
Mhm.
And then just all the little kind of speckles of color from graffiti and
Like there's a
Just
shadow
things.
here, almost like a figurative shadow. And
yeah.
there's a lot of mystery to it.
With my artwork, my photographs, I like to, when I first start, I like the word drama.
Yeah.
I like to be dramatic about it. I have to show dramatic images or dramatic scenes.
Mhm.
I've gotten out of that a little bit more because I'm trying to be more of a historical, I guess shoot it as it is.
Mhm.
But I still like to see some kind of drama behind my artwork. This one's one of the ones where I say the shadows and everything still creates a sense of drama, of mystery unknown of what we see when we go into this tunnel here. But
Mhm.
it's kind of like a nice consolidation of the drama, but depicting what really actually is there, and then hopefully some color and just hopefully overall make it thought-provoking, like what's going on here, what was there. When I photographs in the old building, I like to think to myself, who worked here, who lived here, who went to school here, police facilities, and a lot of times I do look at the history of the buildings.
Mhm.
Going back
Do you know
to
what this
historical
is here?
archives.
What this says?
Oh, no, I don't. I'm not very good at reading graffiti tags.
Mhm.
I know if there are some graffiti artists out there, they're probably, oh, that's so-and-so, that's what this means here. So you see some of the similar styles all over the building.
Mhm.
I think graffiti artists, experts would know who those artists are.
You know what this building was used for?
Oh, yes, it was a large factory.
What did they make there?
Bolts and nuts and
Oh.
screws.
Wow.
Yes. Walking inside buildings, you still find some of the old paperwork,
Yeah.
like nut and bolt orders and screws, and there's even part of the building where it has some of the old manufacturing. I'm not using the correct word here, but the designs and how
Mhm.
the customers want their screws or nuts or bolts built. So it shows like this is this company, this is the specifications.
schematics?
Yes, schematics.
Wow.
Is the correct word. Yes.
Cool.
And I always think, one thing I always think interesting about these buildings is like, people just got one day, went home and left, and never came back. And just left everything there. And so I just thought, like, some of these things you think you want to have in an archive. And I know you can't have everything in archives, I know, but this is something I think would be interesting to have, like the bolt orders or the schematics from like the 70s or like, 60s or 40s,
Mhm.
There's been a few buildings I've been in where I found school records of the children from early 1900s.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah.
Were there a lot of old nuts and bolts lying around?
There were a few, yes, a few rusted pieces. There's some few, still some old like equipment inside. A lot of it, of course, have been taken by scrappers, but there's still like remnants. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Sometimes I go to different buildings several times.
Mhm.
This building in particular, I've been to this building probably 6 or 7 times, just visiting it over the years, just seeing how it's changed.
Who owns this building?
No one. I mean,
It's
I
just
shouldn't
been
say that.
abandoned?
Yeah, it's been abandoned. Someone owns it, but
And this is in,
in Indiana,
Gary?
here in Indiana. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing, really.
Yeah.
It's great that you've documented these things.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I've always, and this is one of my to-do lists, is like, I want to like add a part to my website where it's like, here's the picture or this location, here's my history of the location, here's what I felt while visiting it, or like, I kind of thought that may be too much, but sometimes I'm thinking in the back of my head just to like kind of document the history of the building,
Yeah.
show where it is now, and,
You can not have too much information.
yeah, that's true.
I think it's great that you want to document things like that and your thoughts and feelings about this.
Yeah.
Going into the space,
Yeah, because it's going to be gone
above
soon.
and beyond
Mhm.
what so many artists are capable of doing, because they can express themselves only visually, but you can express yourself in other multiple ways. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was going to ask you, David, because you have a series of photos that you did that feature architecture, and one was called the Steel Forest series. So it's kind of an abandoned warehouse kind of thing, too. So what is it about warehouses that kind of draw you as a photographer?
Well, the series that you're referring to is from actually interesting, rather than abandoned warehouse, it was actually a brand new warehouse that hadn't been occupied yet by Steinhafels for their main headquarters. And I was there on a Sunday hanging artwork in the corporate offices with Gary Steinhafel and his wife Jocelyn. They'd bought a lot of artwork from us. And I had my Rebel 2000 camera with me. I really wasn't expecting or planning on doing anything, but this was a 250,000 square foot warehouse. And as I said, it was a Sunday. It was the day before they were moving into the warehouse. So the series that you're describing was actually the shelving for the furniture before any furniture was put on there. And so, and there was about like 6 different levels high, and they had a track with these machines that would travel around, pretty much programmed, and then so it was semi-automated. But what really struck me was the design of the shelving. You know, they look like trees, like steel trees, literally. You know, so the idea of, you know, nature versus man-made and that correlation. And but it was the first time I ever opened up the manual for the camera, because for the depth of field setting, because I wanted to get a clarity from where I was standing at one end of the warehouse to the back of the warehouse was maybe 150 feet or so, and I wanted to get it in focus, and so normally I just point and shoot, you know, but I didn't want to screw it up, so I actually checked that, and I didn't have a tripod or anything like that. I was just, so it was a very informal, spontaneous situation. And as I said, this was before digital, and so I took the film to get it processed, and so I had 4x6 snapshots, and I showed them to Gary Steinhaufen and said, well, I really like these, but they're only 4/6 by inches. I need big if we're going to buy them and hang them in the warehouse or in the, you know, in the building. I said, well, how big do you need them? He said, well, like as big as you can make them. So they're like 40 by 60 inches. And so, of course, with the technology today and ability of my staff to be able to enlarge those, blow them up 1,000 times and still be clear. However, as a painter who does photography, I'm not so concerned like to have Ansel Adams type clarity. I'm more interested in the image, and I'm more interested in having them almost look like paintings. So that's kind of how, so I guess that's enough about me.
No, I love that. I love that story because it shows a spontaneity where you don't know where you'll find something interesting or where you'll find beauty, and yeah.
Exactly.
So you had a vision, and it's good to have your camera with you all the time.
Yeah, it was unexpected.
Yeah.
All right, our next image that we're going to discuss is titled School Staircase Number 4. This is a really interesting image. The first thing that caught my eye about it was just the texture of the wallpaper. It's so peely. It's almost like birch bark falling off the tree trunk.
Yeah.
But can you share with us kind of the context of where this place is?
Yeah, this is a staircase in an abandoned school in Indiana. I have like, I don't know why, but throughout my career, I always photograph staircases or escalators when they're empty. There's something to me about looking up and a sense of hope or, wonder. And when I saw this scene, I had to photograph it. Not only because the staircase and light coming through the glass windows, that kind of like to give me some beauty, but also the peeling paint. One thing about the schools, in certain areas that they all use the same kind of paint, this green paint. And after a while, of course, it starts to peel and decay. And I thought you use the word like tree bark or birch. That's exactly what I was looking at there. It's peeling away and you keep seeing different layers underneath. I just thought that was a beautiful image. Some people may look at this and think it's old and dirty, but for me, I thought this was like so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a strong sense of, I don't know, just story. I guess the only word that comes to my mind, that at the base of the staircase it's so dark, and as a viewer I wonder what kind of metaphorical darkness that I have to travel through to get to the bottom of this staircase. And then having those walls on either side too, you're kind of boxed in, and so there's no way to go but up.
Yeah.
And you wonder what's beyond that door.
Yeah.
So,
From darkness to light.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was trying
There's
to base
something
the
almost
whole
religious about it.
Did you have to crawl through some kind of dark and scary room before you got here?
I went through a hallway and I looked to my right. And, oh, look, there's a staircase. And it's so beautiful. There's light coming down. Because it was dark. Because the building has no light source at all except for windows. Except for light comes through the windows or light comes through from the walls that fall down. So it was a very dark hallway I was walking through. And I looked to my right, and I thought, okay, there's light coming up. So I looked to my right, and there's a staircase, and I saw light coming through from the outside, from the glass windows and glass doors, and I thought it was a beautiful image.
Yeah, you mentioned too that one of your artistic influences is Kehinde Wiley.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting to think about him in connection to this image, because in a lot of his paintings, he has a strong interest in wallpaper. But it has kind of a different historical interest going back to William Morris, who was a wallpaper designer. And I just think it's interesting because for him it's all about the pattern and the ornate sense of detail, but here it's kind of a different, it's decomposing and yet there's still beauty there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It just, I know, a lot of my images of staircases, I always seem, I just feel hopeful sometimes. So if you're go up, there's something there, or a sense of wonder again, what's up there. I take photographs of staircases going down as well. They're interesting as well. But for me, looking up and seeing the light come through, it was just like an epiphany or a sense of wonder or hope. All these different emotions, just seeing that view.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that this was one of your favorite photos that you had taken. Is it because of that sense of hope? Or
the sense of hope and the sense of decay. So basically, the image, you look at first, you see, everything's decaying there. And if you look closely, the light coming through, that's where the hope kind of takes over the old, the decaying, or the dirtiness of the staircase.
It's a very powerful image.
Thank you.
Well, I guess my final question for you is just, do you have any parting words of wisdom or advice to maybe aspiring photographers or just creatives in general?
Yeah, something I've learned, to keep shooting, keep doing it, keep working on your art. Keep talking to other artists and being inspired. Last week I was at the Rogues Dollar Night Show, and speaking to other Rogue artists, and one artist kind of told me that he doesn't do it for money, he does it for himself. And I thought that's me as well. I'm not doing it for money. I love just to photograph. Even if I wasn't making money or selling my work, I would still photograph because it's something that I need to get out.
But it is selling.
It is selling, yes. So hopefully,
good.
I think my vision is something that other people are interested in. But just keep shooting, keep doing your art. It's your outlet for creativity, your outlet for your soul. Mental health, as well. keep working your art and keep looking at things that interest you. Keep trying to share your vision. And I guess my final theme would be that there's always beauty in places you don't expect it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kim. It was
Thank
so
you so
lovely
much for
getting
having
to
me.
chat with you today and just hear more about your process. And it's been a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you also to all of our viewers and listeners. We hope you enjoyed this conversation with Kim. And if you want to see any of her work in person, these images are available, and we would love to see you at the gallery. You can also call or email with any questions. So until next time, take care.
Thanks for viewing, and we look forward to seeing you.
If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and visit the gallery on November 21st, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. for our holiday music and market featuring Heinzel Kunzman on piano and a whole bunch of books, posters, frames, gift certificates, art, and much more.